Hello, Haiku back here for another Historic Pauper deck tech. Today I'm going to be playing Grixis Snake is what I've called it, so Tolarian Terror, but then it also has one Serpentine Curve. The reason why I like playing with the one of Curve is because it can be brought back with Mystic Sanctuary, and it offers a control deck finisher that can, with 6 mana, can just kind of end the game with just throwing the curve at the opponent's face. So I like the idea of having that kind of inevitability in your deck. I originally built this deck to kind of really abuse the Mystic Sanctuaries, but I felt like toward the end of the game you didn't really need them. You could just finish the game without recurring them. So I just kept 2 in, and I more cared about having untapped islands to set up stuff at the beginning of the game. I think the critical turn is turn 3. You really want to have untapped land on turn 3 in your hand, so you could play use 3 mana worth, which is most likely Modern Age into Fiery Temper or Kitchen Imp. Let's see other things. So it's always difficult to decide what counters to use, especially in Historic Pauper, where not every deck wins with creatures. But the reason why I came down on playing the full 4 Essence Scatters is, it's the hard counter. So they, compared to the other ones that make the opponent pay 2, I like having a hard counter. And the other reason is most combo decks still rely on some creatures to combo, so it's live against them. And then the only deck that doesn't play any creatures is the poison control deck that I was playing last time. And I just don't think that one is played too often that I can kind of dodge it, and then I can side into better cards in the sideboard if I do run into that. I think this would play fine against the control deck. The fact that Fire Temper can go face can really increase the clock. And then the fact that you can throw away all of the removal spells that don't do anything, like that to the Kami, Terminal Agony, and Frostbites, because you choose a piece of Thrill of Possibility in the Modern Age. I feel like it's you don't get clogged with too many dead cards in your hand, even if you're playing cards that generally, or against some decks, don't do anything. Another thing about going 3 color, it's really difficult on the mana, but these tri-lands, the fact that they gain life and can find 3 different colors is pretty useful, actually. So most of my 3 color decks, I've been trying to play them in the shards colors to take advantage of these different the 5 different Yucca fetches. And then the nice part about the fetches is they count for you can pull up islands to count for Mystic Sanctuary, and they pull up snow lands which count for your frostbites. So your frostbites are basically always 3 damage by turn 3. Sideboard, I'm really scared of a lot of different enchantments from a lot of decks. Dispel is just a nod to First Day of Class and Snakeskin Veil, basically. And then these are just kind of random one-ofs, and then relics. I wanted to have 1 negate, and I wanted to have another removal spell to bring in from the board, 2 more removal spells to bring in from the board for just different decks. And so I only had room for 1 negate. That's one that you could probably play. Thinking about it right now, I might want to play 1 more negate over the last Dispel. There's several sorceries that you really care about, and then the fact that negate can hit auras too, Yeah, you know what? I'm going to make this change right now. So I'm going to cut that one. Play one more negate. So just splitting up my counters like that. But yeah, and then the other gain life plan is get in a terror and then put a fangs on it, and that's a pretty good clock on most decks. You can also put it on the curve as well. And then the fact that you can bring things back with Sanctuary, again, all you kind of want most instants and sorceries, so then you can power up or make your terrors cheaper, so you can see 26 sorcery instants and sorceries in the deck. So it's pretty streamlined and getting enough stuff in the yard to make your curve the biggest it can be, as well as make sure your Tolarian Terrors cost only 1. I think that kind of covers it. I think this kind of building with creatures and having the Fangs plan works pretty well against most decks, and so that's why I think you would want to go this route rather than play the creatureless control route. And I think the card advantage that you get by drawing with Modern Age and then discarding a card that you're still using with the Madness, and you get the bonus of making the card cheaper, I think is a viable control option. So sometimes there's some awkward things that happen where you're trying to hold up a counter, but then you also are forced to discard on your turn, and then you're like stuck between trying to get value from your Madness versus hold up your counters. But that doesn't happen too often. Yeah, so I think this deck is just kind of all-arounder, so that might be a bad thing today, because it is single limb, where you might want to have a very strong, linear plan, and that may be what other people are going to be playing. But I think that this can have game against a lot of linear plans and still presents a pretty quick clock once it gets the terrors cheap enough. So yeah.